Welcome back to Kris versus Everybody. This is a podcast where I talk about anything unedited and uncensored. This podcast is brought to you by the Crisscross Studios YouTube channel and the Crisscross Studios Apple Podcast channel. Go ahead and click subscribe and the notification bell on YouTube and follow the podcast on Spotify to be notified of new episodes. Thank you for your support. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because I am a huge music fan, historian, etc. And we're going to talk about some politics, as I do on this show a lot. I tried to go away from it, but it's been 6 weeks, and it's been 6 weeks of anxiety for a lot of people, 6 weeks of torture, 6 weeks of we don't know what's going to happen next with this man in office. But we're going to get to that after I talk about what I love. And I love music. So we're going to talk about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the all-be-all of the best in music. Not just rock and roll, as some people like to say, but it's a culmination of people's careers that have influenced and changed not just music, but society as well. The first class, because the people like to say that it's just supposed to be rock and roll. The first class of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame included people like Little Richard, okay, Fats Domino, Sam Cooke, Ray Charles, and James Brown. Okay. Now, people can argue that they founded or were the architects of what would be rock and roll. But to call the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame just for rock acts is actually being hypocritical. Rock and roll isn't just rock music. Rock and roll is a feeling. A rock and roll is a state of mind. Rock and roll changed music. From the 1950s on, rock and roll has evolved from just guitars and drums to guitars and synthesizers to turntables to people making music on their iPhones like Billie Eilish. Okay? Rock and roll isn't a monolith. It is many things. Just like the nominees for the 2025 class. A lot of people don't know a lot of these. So I'm going to try to see which songs or what they have done in music history. I'm going to pull up their music. Every artist, I'm going to type them up and see what songs they have done and see if I know what they've put out there to be even nominated for this awards. Because if you're going to be nominated for a class for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you have to have some kind of impact. And the first person or group that was nominated this year was Joy Division / New Order. Now, they've been nominated a few times, and they've been snubbed for the last few years. I think they've been eligible since the early 2000s, but they've never got in. Essential albums from them is The Closer, which came out in 1980. I am not a huge fan of Joy Division. Just putting it out there. If you are a Joy Division fan, don't come at me. This is my show, and I don't listen to New Order or Joy Division. So I'm not picking them in my Rock and Roll Hall of Fame class. You might put them in yours, but they're not in mine. Next is MAGA, which is, I believe they're Colombian. A Colombian rock band. International. The only reason I know about MAGA is my Spanish teacher, Senora Baldwin, at Henry Ford Academy, had us do song quizzes, and this was one of my favorite songs to do. So much so I got an A+ on the song quiz because I listened to the song so many times. But that's pretty much my MAGA experience. Other than that, I don't believe that MAGA should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's just my opinion. Next is Outkast. Outkast, I really don't have to say anything about them because it's Outkast. They're the first hip hop group to get Album of the Year at the Grammy Awards. That's impact right there. Their album, double platinum, quadruple platinum, actually. They have so many songs, so many sayings that people still want to have another Outkast album come out. Andre 3000 almost won Album of the Year this year, which I didn't even know he made an album. And Big Boy was just at the Super Bowl a few years ago. So the impact of Outkast is just, you can't even quantify it. So Outkast, to me, is going to get in to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year. That's my first pick out of these, all of the nominees that I'm about to say today. And to put a pause on the conversation, I will be posting the link for all the nominees for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the description below. I believe you have until mid-March or late March to put in your nominees, your picks. I think you can only pick up to 5. Okay? Because they do go by a fan vote. All right. So they do listen to fans. Okay. But don't be mad if they don't pick your person. So if you're a Mania fan or a Joy Division / New Order fan, it's okay. They hear you. All right. But you have to have enough votes. Oasis. Oasis is one of the most iconic 90s rock groups of all time. Do I think they should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? No. I do not. Famous songs from them: Wonderwall, Morning Glory, Don't Look Back in Anger, Champagne Supernova. Pretty good songs from the 90s. But everybody knows the classic Glastonbury concert with Jay-Z. Jay-Z's the first rap act to headline or to even perform at the Glastonbury concert over in England. Oasis was touting out that rap and hip hop don't belong at the big stages or concerts. And Jay-Z went on a tear. He went on a world tour. He said rap can do the same thing rock can do. And he went out there on Glastonbury and played Wonderwall by Oasis with a guitar, off key, laughing because, I made it to Glastonbury. I'm about to rip the carpet off this motherfucker. And then I'm going to go into my 99 Problems song. All right. That was actually a good rendition of Wonderwall. I'll put that link in the description as well. But Oasis does not belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm sorry. This isn't a popularity contest. If it was, everybody would be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Outkast is impact. Impact and influence. Without Outkast, you would not have a lot of artists today. You would not have a J. Cole. You would not have a Kendrick Lamar. You would not have the Black Eyed Peas. You would not have Doja Cat. You would not have a Nicki Minaj without Outkast. Next, we have Billy Idol. Billy Idol has changed the game of rock and roll ever since he stepped foot in the late 70s, early 80s. Do I think he's going to get in? Yes, I do think he's going to get in. Would I put him in my votes? No, because I'm not a huge Billy Idol fan. Songs by Billy Idol include Rebel Yell, Cradle of Love, Money Money. What else? Eyes Without a Face. That's that song on WOMC at like 2:00 in the afternoon. It's like you just sitting there like, yeah. What's the song called again? Eyes Without a Face. Really good song. So if you want Billy Idol to be in, put him in. I don't care. Next is the Black Crowes. Again, another iconic 90s group. The impact of the Black Crowes isn't as big as Oasis. However, they had some really good songs in the 90s. I'm pulling it up right now. She Talks to Angels is one. Hard to Handle, Remedy, Twice as Hard, Sting Me, Charming Mess, and Stare It Cold are some Black Crowes songs. I don't think they should get in. Will they probably get in? Maybe. Don't know. Next, we have Bad Company. Bad Company has been snubbed so many times, that I think it's time. It's time. Just put them in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Rock and Roll Fantasy, Gone, 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 Simple Man, Good Lovin' Gone Bad, No Smoke Without a Fire, Burning Sky. These people, this group belongs in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They should have been a first ballot Rock and Roll Hall of Fame group. Outkast and Bad Company are getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Next, we have another person that I thought was already in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The fact that this person wasn't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame shows, one, the bias of a lot of people in charge of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the fans, as well as people who just overlooked this guy for the first class. Why is Chubby Checker not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Without Chubby Checker pretty much started the one-hit wonder. You could not be a one-hit wonder without Chubby Checker. Chubby Checker started it. The twist. Without the twist, there will be no Dance Crazes. Like, this is crazy. And then you got Let's Twist Again, the remix. Like, without Chubby Checker, you wouldn't have the Harlem Shake in 2013. You wouldn't have Gangnam Style, the Stanky Leg, Soulja Boy, Tell Him. This man, put him in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Put him in. Next, please don't make fun of me when I say his name. His name is Joe Cocker. Okay? Joe Cocker, one of the best song writers and performers of all time. You Are So Beautiful, The Letter, You Can Leave Your Hat On, With a Little Help from My Friends, which is the theme song to the old Wonder Years, not the one with Dule Hill, but the one with Fred Savage, actually. Fred Savage was Wonder Years. Ben Savage was Boy Meets World. Okay, gotcha. Which they both starred in Boy Meets World as well, for like 2 episodes, but that's it. Joe Cocker belongs in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm putting him in. Next is the White Stripes. Now, I am from Detroit, and I will have my bias that the White Stripes is one of the best rock bands of all time. By default, I'm putting them in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Songs include songs that we all sing at all sports games. Seven Nation Army. And I think that's the only song that I know from them, actually. I'm not even joking right now. Let's look up the White Stripes Essentials. Icky Thump, that's a good one. Blue Orchid, Ball and Biscuit. And that's it. That's all I know from the White Stripes. Just for my bias from them being from Detroit, and I'm from Detroit, they should just get in. Put Detroit on the map again. Next is Phish, like Phish. I don't even know any songs. I didn't even know this group existed. So I'm going to look them up real quick because I don't know any Phish songs. Bouncing Around the Room, Farmhouse, Waste, Down with Disease, Ghost. This is like a hard rock group? Let's listen to a song real quick just to see. Are there lyrics? What are these guys saying? I'm confused. They're from Vermont, so why are they speaking in? I don't know. They're speaking. I don't know what they're doing. I don't think they belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because I don't understand a word they're saying. So next, we're gonna do Soundgarden, which if you put Nirvana in, you got to put Soundgarden in, which Pearl Jam shouldn't be that far away. So Soundgarden should get in. What a good. I'm not. I don't listen to Soundgarden that much. So let's hear. Let's see what a song that Soundgarden did. Black Hole Sun, Outshined, My Wave, Big Dumb Sex, Mailman. Okay. My thing is, if you put Nirvana in, you got to put Soundgarden in. Like they're like the number 3 grunge band of all time. Pearl Jam's number 1, Nirvana number 2 for me, and then Soundgarden number 3. Cyndi Lauper. I thought she was already in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Put her in, please. Time after time. All girls just want to have fun. Like, that's all you need. Like, she pretty much changed the game. And last, we have Mariah Carey. She should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. They put Mary J in last year before Mariah. So, but Mariah hasn't made new music since, I don't even know when her last album was. Let me see let me look it up real quick. Mariah Carey. Let's see. Her last album. Wait, she made an album last year? It was a single. Let's see. She made an album. Her last album was, she made one in 2018. That's impressive. No one heard it. But yeah, her 90s work and her 2005 album is pretty much it, and her Christmas album. Okay, everybody knows all I want for Christmas is you. So, but a lot of people don't know her stuff that she did in the 90s, which is why she was so famous in the first place. She's still getting paid for that Christmas song, but she's getting put in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for her stuff in the 90s and that 2005 album. Okay, and she should get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Overall, so I have Mariah Carey, Outkast, Bad Company, Chubby Checker, Joe Cocker, Cyndi Lauper, and Soundgarden. Now that's a good class. Now there are a lot of people who have been snubbed, okay, who deserve the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nod. And I'm going to list these names off. These are names who are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, we're going to do Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf, known for Magic Carpet Ride and Born to Be Wild from the 60s. Haven't been nominated. Not once. They've been eligible for over 40 years now. Three Dog Night. Joy to the World. 1. It's the loneliest number. Not in yet. Tommy James and the Shondells. Not in yet. She just passed away earlier this week. Roberta Flack, not in yet. Procol Harum, not in yet. Whiter Shade of Pale, that's the song they're known for, not in. The Monkees, I'm a Believer, not in. Diana Ross is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame yet. The Carpenters, it's a crime that they're not in yet. Blue Oyster Cult, Barry White, John Coltrane, Brian Eno, Iron Maiden, Sonic Youth, The Smiths, The Pixies, Nas, Daft Punk, and the one group that should have been in their first year of eligibility, Toto, is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's a crime. It's a crime. They should do a whole class of all the names that I just did for 2026. And that's my topic, my first topic for music for this year. We're going to move on to a conversation I had with one of my Facebook friends that he said that the Trump win in 2024 was a landslide victory. And I beg to differ. I asked the question, what landslide victory are you talking about? Like, what landslide victory are these idiots talking about? Now, I'm a person who believes in common sense and education. And if you say or do anything that contradicts common sense or someone that is supposed to be smart and have some, decorum, and, posture, reading the room, understanding facts versus fiction. It's crazy that people who say that Trump won by a landslide are the ones who voted for Trump. In the 2024 United States presidential election, the popular vote totals were as follows. I will put these numbers out here. This is a preface for what I'm about to say. Donald Trump, which was running under the Republican Party, got 77,302,580 votes. Kamala Harris, which is under the Democratic Party, got 75,017,613 votes. While other candidates, which were the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, blah, 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 they got 2.2 million votes. So Donald Trump won 49% of the popular vote, while Kamala Harris won 48% of the popular vote, while other candidates won 1.5. Now, I don't understand how people can say that's a landslide victory. If you would go by the Electoral College doesn't pretty much give you the actual picture of what's going on around the country. Okay? Because if you look at a map of what the 2024 election looked like, it looked like it was just a pool of red. But you have to understand that most states in the West and in the Midwest are huge as fuck, like Texas, Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Missouri. The states are pretty big. The only states that were blue were the typical liberal blue states, like Illinois, California, Oregon, Washington, New York, the Northeast, DC, Virginia, the typicals, So Donald Trump and his followers, MAGA, I like to call them, the MAGA people, saying that he won by a landslide is just crazy. Okay, the figures that I just let y'all know, the 77 versus 75 million people, indicate that Donald Trump won the popular vote by a margin of approximately 2.3 million people, marking the first time since 2004 that a Republican a Republican candidate for president secured the popular vote. Let me say that again. This is the first time since 2004, the second Bush term against John Kerry, which didn't even have a chance in hell of winning after 9/11. Okay? That's the first time since 2004 that a Republican presidential candidate secured the popular vote. That was over 20 years ago. Since 2004, the Republican Party has pretty much had a slow death. It's been on hospice since 2008. It's been on hospice. And the Republican Party pretty much gave themselves a cortisone shot with Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump is not a Republican. I'll put that out there right now. He ran as a Republican, but he's not a Republican at all. And any true Republican that goes against him, the people who are on Trump's side, the MAGAs, would say that they're rhinos, Republican in name only, and just dismiss them. Or their political careers would die right there because Trump didn't like them. So you let him take over the party, but then when he does something you don't like and you disagree, now you have to just go away and let him take over. But we'll get into that on another episode. Right now we're talking about the idiots that say that this was a landslide victory. Voter turnout. It's crazy because every time that people want to vote against or for Trump, the numbers go down. Okay. When people went out for Obama in 2008 and 2012, votership went up. Voter turnout went up. When Obama wasn't running and Hillary was in, because all the delegates went to Hillary and not Bernie Sanders, a lot of people didn't vote, which was a detriment to the American people because they didn't want Trump to win, but they didn't want to vote for Hillary. Their person lost against Hillary, so then they were going to vote for Hillary. So voter turnout dropped. If the same voter turnout for Hillary Clinton was for Barack Obama's 2012 election were the same people who voted for Hillary in the 2016 election, Donald Trump wouldn't even be president right now. It's all about who comes out to vote. If you don't turn up to vote, you're giving the vote to, you're letting people vote for you. Then we had Trump for 4 years. And then we had a pandemic, okay? Made worse in our country because of the policies and the viewpoint of the pandemic by Donald Trump, killing millions of people across the world. We were tired of it. Voter turnout went back up, resulting in the biggest voter turnout in American history in 2020. Fast forward 4 years after that, we just came out of a pandemic. Businesses wanted to recoup their losses, so they bumped the prices up. Then Donald Trump used that to get back into the office of the executive office. In between that, Joe Biden got older, got more tired, and pretty much gave the baton to Kamala Harris, which a lot of people were going to vote for her. As obviously we just said, 75 million people voted for her, while 77 voted for Donald Trump. Again, what happens when you don't have the charisma and or the body parts that a man has? Same thing that happened with Hillary happened with Kamala Harris. Voter turnout dropped. Voter turnout dropped to 63.9%, reflecting a 2.7 percentage point decrease from the previous election. It's crazy that only the people calling Trump's victory a landslide are the people who voted for him. Yeah, I said it. I'm calling y'all out again. I keep it real on my show. You don't take into account that the Electoral College and the popular vote are a correlation and not a causation. MAGA and Trump supporters only use the Electoral College map to say landslide, quote unquote, because they like pictures and colors. Ooh, that's pretty. It was a landslide. Look at all that red. Okay. But when we actually give you numbers and facts, you go like, oh, that's a lie. That's fake news. Okay. If they took into account the gravity, the actual social, educational, and economic issues, and took it through that lens, they wouldn't be claiming such a landslide victory. But Kris, what are the landslide victories in presidential election history? Well, let me educate y'all before we get out of here. Okay? I'll educate with facts. I leave you with some facts because I don't want you leaving the show without learning something. A landslide victory is when someone wins by a huge margin. Okay? Now we're going by the popular vote because that's what actually quantifies if it was a landslide or not the Electoral College. Now, these elections, the presidents that I'm about to list off right now, have won by a landslide, literal landslide. And they're often cited as benchmarks for electoral dominance in American political history. All right. Number one, we have the George Washington election, 1789 and 1792. In the first two presidential elections, in the nation's two first presidential elections, George Washington was elected unanimously by the Electoral College, receiving 100% of the votes. Hear that, MAGA? If you want to say landslide victory, he'll need 100% of the electoral votes, which means pretty much almost everybody had to vote for him. Last time I checked, half the country voted for Donald Trump and half the country voted for Kamala Harris. So it can't be a landslide. Number two, we have Thomas Jefferson. Jefferson secured 162 out of 176 electoral votes against his opponent, Charles Cotesworth Pinckney, reflecting widespread support of his policies. It's 92% of the electoral vote, guys, in 1804. James Monroe, he won all but one electoral vote, resulting in a near unanimous victory. So you had George Washington in 1789 and James Monroe in 1820, who pretty much had unanimous votes. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR, the only president to serve 3.5 terms. Okay. Roosevelt achieved one of the most decisive victories in U.S. history, capturing 523 out of 531 electoral votes. That is a landslide. He also won 60% of the popular votes against Republican Alf Landon. Okay. Lyndon B. Johnson. He won 486 electoral votes and 62% of the popular vote in 1964. And the last two are like completely obvious because we know which ones in more modern American history have won in a landslide. We're going to talk about the 1972 election of Richard Nixon, which the whole map was red. Just the map was red. Okay. And Ronald Reagan achieving historic landslide victory against Walter Mondale in 1984. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are the presidents that had landslide victories. Donald Trump doesn't come anywhere close to these presidents. And if you say he is close to any of these presidents, you might need to get your brain checked. You might need to go to Bellevue for treatment. Because you sound crazy. 2016, it was a close victory. 2020, he only lost by a few votes. That was a close victory by Joe Biden. And in 2024, you only lost by you won by 2 million votes. Like, how is that a landslide? Maybe I got to go to the school of Trump because clearly y'all just don't know how to add and subtract. So, but that is another episode of the Kris versus Everybody podcast. See you guys next time. All links are in the description below. I have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame fan vote link. I also have the map for the 2024 election. So you can actually, play with the maps and see what states that people need to win to get the presidency. All right. See you guys next time on Kris versus Everybody.